Okay, we're going into the next segment of the episode. IPL top 10 most expensive signings. Where are they now? It's the middle of the season, so we can get a good idea of how they've performed, see the impact they've had on their team, and do they really justify the price tags that some of them have fetched up? We'll start with number 10, Prasid Krishna. Rajasthan Royals bought him for 10 crore. He was for me, I would give him a 6 out of 10. I don't think there was enough wickets taken by him. He has been threatening though, opening the bowling. I've seen some good back of the length delivery. That's his sort of style. But for a 10 crore, I don't think he's performed up to standards. But remember, this is not just a 1 year signing. This is a future signing. And I think, with maybe next season or the rest of this season, he could perform even better. What's your rating for him, Zaid?
I've given him a 7 out of 10 because I just think he's looked pretty dangerous in the power play. And as he said, he's looked threatening. He's been bowling nice back of the length deliveries, like roughing up the batsman or just making them play and they play and miss, whatever. But I think I would put my rating high if he was able to get wickets consistently because I think the power play is the only place he can really bowl properly. Like anywhere else, he's been struggling a little bit. So yeah, if he can just improve his non-power play bowling, in the middle overs or at the death, then I think I would give him a higher rating.
See, yeah, I do agree with you. A lot of our ratings here have been for bowlers, especially, been influenced by wickets and economy is the key things. The batters have been runs and strike rates also been important. It obviously depends on the position, but yeah, the issue with threatening is that threatening just means you could challenge the batsman, but if you don't produce the results in the end, if you don't take the key wickets, it doesn't really make a difference whether you're threatening or not. And he has gone for he's been relatively consistent with the economy, but I think we need to see more. Number 9 was Aveish Khan. Lucknow Super Giants brought him up for 10 crore, and alongside other key players such as what's his name, Rahul. Aveish Khan has been actually really good. I think 8 out of 10 would be a fair rating. 11 wickets he's taken this IPL, and we saw him. I think he took 30 wickets last IPL. So he was a good. Everyone was on the market for a type of bowler like him, and he has threatened and he has taken wickets. So he's produced the rewards. So I think 8 out of 10 is fair. What would you say your rating would be for him?
I've given him a 9 out of 10. I completely agree with you. I just think he's been such an asset for the team. He's consistently picking up wickets and he's been restraining batsmen. And for me, he's kind of like even more sort of an improved version of Prasid Krishna almost. Prasid Krishna, both these bowlers are very good. They restrain batsmen well. But I think Prasid Krishna, he's sort of Aveish Khan, he's kind of like a improved, new and improved version of Prasid Krishna, which he hopefully Krishna will be hoping for in the next couple of years, couple of seasons. I just think, but I've given 9 out of 10. I just think he's consistently picking up wickets and doing really well.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll go on to number 8, which is Lockheed Ferguson. 7.5 out of 10 for me. See, I think it's the fact that his Yorker against Butler in one of the matches, Gujarat Titans versus Rajasthan Royals, I think it was. He bowled a lovely slow ball Yorker that was just beautiful, and it was the type of really high quality delivery that you need to get Butler out, and that's just something that really sums up his bowling, this high quality bowler. He has been quite expensive at periods, but he's sort of a bit, in terms of economies, but certain matches he can do well. 8 wickets this season, not what you'd expect as being such a fast bowler and quite a leader of the pace attack of the Gujarat Titans, one of the leaders. However, I still think he's done pretty well. 7.5 out of 10 is, I think it deserves it. Is pretty fair for him. How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. 7.5 out of 10. I think that's pretty fair. All the reasons you said. He's looked good, but he's just been a little bit expensive at times. And also, batsmen play serious pace. Batsmen can play them fairly easily these days, especially in T20 cricket. All the formats. Like Lockheed Ferguson, he's a pretty quick bowler. If he can get nice variations like he did against Josh Butler, if he can get that more common in his arsenal, then he'll be even better. And I just think Lockheed Ferguson is a great bowler, but he's just been expensive at times.
Yeah, no, that's fair to say. That's fair to say. I think we'll go on to Nicholas Puran. 7 out of 10 for me. Batting wise, he hasn't really scored a lot of runs, but in the Sunrisers Hyderabad team, his role is mainly a keeper because he comes in 5. And as we've mentioned before, a lot of the times the Sunrisers have been winning their matches by eight wickets, 7 wickets. So he just comes in and he doesn't get much time to score anyway. Like on one of his innings, like 31 off like 20 or something. Apart from that, he hasn't had any significant innings, and that's okay because the top order is doing so well, and the fact that he's just not getting the opportunity. So I'm pretty, reasonably okay with him, but not amazing. But 7 out of 10 should suffice for him. What do you think, Zaid?
I've given it a 6 out of 10 because I just feel, what's the point of having Puran or any batsman for that matter if you're not even going to use him? Why not just like add to your bowling department even more if you're in every match, Sunrisers, they're able to finish the game up pretty quickly, and not quickly, sorry, with lots of wickets in hand. They're not really using Puran that much, and obviously he hasn't scored enough, but obviously, as you said, he hasn't needed to. But what's the point of having him decide then? Why not just like um, have strengthen your bowling attack even further? So maybe have someone who can keep at the top. I just think there's not really enough point having him there.
Mm. Yeah, and I can understand why you'd say that, but to be fair, if he doesn't get, you don't want to mess up the formula that for Sunrisers that's been working. If it's been working, you can try and keep the team as similar as possible. Obviously, change it according to condition. So I think that's the main reason why Sunrisers haven't, try and add it to the bowling and think, because I think they've got the perfect balance here. In case they start losing wickets quickly, they still have someone like Puran who can accelerate. But obviously, we haven't seen enough of him yet to really get a proper judgment. So that's a tough one. Harsha Patel, who was bought by Royal Challengers Bangalore for 10 crore, 10.75 crore. For me, I'd say 7 out of 10, 8 wickets, an economy of 7.29. It's the economy that I think is the best, and that for a pace bowler, and he's not the fastest to be fair, but that's a good economy. He shows he has a decent amount of control over the games. 8 wickets is nice as well. He's not your main strike bowler, so it's fine. But to be fair, his high last season, I think he got 30 something wickets. So it's nowhere near up to standards of last season. So there's been a bit of a drop off. But nevertheless, that was a pretty exceptional season. So that might have been like a rare odd one out. He's still effective though. How about you? What are your thoughts about Harsha Patel?
I mean, I've actually given him a 9 out of 10 rating because I might look too generous here, but I think he's just a huge asset for RCB. We saw him last year. Dude, like he just did too good there. Like, he got so many wickets, and for this year especially, I think he's just there. Like, he's not the main strike bowler for RCB this year, but he's more like that main bowler in the middle overs. I just think he's there to just not leak runs in those middle overs, especially, and even in the death. He's a very good bowler. He's been learning, variations or whatever. But I think he's just hugely important for RCB in the middle overs, and he's just there really. He's almost like doing a job of a spinner, sort of like in the middle overs, just like restrain the runs. Not worried about wickets, but yeah, if he gets wickets, that's great. But I just think he's a huge asset for RCB. I think we're going to see him take more wickets, in the coming years. I just think he's really important in the middle overs.
Mm. See, and his performances so far haven't really justified the score, the amount of money they pay. Royal Challengers Bangalore paid for him. So that's the only reason I gave that low score. But maybe, yeah, future-wise, I think it's looking pretty good. Next, we'll go on to Wanindu Hasaranga. He was probably, after his performances on the international stage, was one of the most hyped up players, I think, in terms of like for the mega auction. I think there was a lot of people who knew he was going to go for a high amount of money, but 10.75 crores is a lot of money, and I was actually surprised he went for this much. So that's good. That's just well done for him. And I would give him an 8 out of 10, just courtesy of his 11 wickets. Honestly, I think the economy does need to improve. 8.6 for a spinner, in my opinion, for his skill, it's just really too high. If you look at Rashid Khan, who also is very skillful, obviously he's a little bit more experienced with like 100 IPL games or something along the lines of that. Or was it 100 T20 games? I'm not really sure, but 8.6 economy. Rashid Khan's, I think this season has been like something like 6.6, and that just shows the gulf in terms of like control over the innings that Rashid Khan has in comparison to Wanindu Hasaranga. Obviously, they're two different styles of leg spinners, but I think Wanindu Hasaranga has to look long term on trying to dominate the game a little bit more, trying to control the innings, because as a leg spinner in the middle overs, that's what you expect, especially in India as well. We've seen Chahar, for example, who's just been, that's another role of his, and I think he's just looked like he's really dominated the game, and Wanindu Hasaranga has to look at dominating the middle overs a bit more. How about you? What do you think a good rating for him is? What a fair rating for him is?
Yeah, I've agreed with you here. I've gone with 8 out of 10 as well. I just think he's looked good, especially in the international stage. But in this IPL, I think he needs to restrict the batsman more. He's got to lower that economy. You know, he's got an excellent googly. You know, he's almost like a mystery spinner. Like batsmen find it hard to pick him, but he's just been a little bit expensive at times. So I think he's got to try and restrict the batsman even more.
Yeah, so I agree. You've pretty much summed it up. There's not really much to say about that one. But Shardul Thakur, 6 out of 10 for him, 4 wickets only, which has just been shocking, and 9.59 economy. Both stats have been pretty bad. He hasn't played all the matches though, so that's something to consider. But the economy itself, for a pace bowler, for a skillful pace bowler, I just don't think that's up to his standards. And he's really got to sort himself out. He hasn't had the full most opportunities, but he hasn't taken the opportunities that he was given. So that's another thing. He's just really got to be he's just got to be more he's just got to be more consistent, got to take more wickets, got to take his opportunities. Otherwise, there might not be much more of a chance. It's just he's really got to be more whenever he gets a chance, he's got to perform, and that's something that all IPL players need to do. Otherwise, they could easily, the following seasons or even in that season, just get discarded. What is your rating for him, Zaid?
I've gone with 5 out of 10. He's hardly got any wickets, and it's too much of an economy because as a bowler, you've got to have, even a skillful bowler, you've got to have at least one of those that's doing well. Either get wickets or have a low economy. Someone like Rashid Khan, for example, he's not getting many wickets this season, but his economy is excellent. He's restricting batsmen. Also, like Yuzvendra Chahal, he's getting plenty of wickets, and his economy is a little high, but it's still he's getting loads of wickets. So Shardul has done neither of those, and he's just got to like do one of them if he's gonna if he's got he I just think 5 out of 10 is really fair for me. Like he obviously hasn't played all of the games, but he's just not been really good to his standard.
I just looked now. He's taken 4 wickets so far this season. Last season, he took in the entire IPL 21 wickets. So there's a huge difference in terms of performances, and that's a big drop off. And we've seen that with a lot of players, like Harsha Patel, for example, a big drop off. Shardul Thakur, Aveish Khan has been pretty good as well. He's still been good. You don't have to reach the highs. That was the best his season for him, but you still need to be aiming to get 15 wickets per season. I think that's a good title for such a pretty good bowler like him. Anyway, I think we'll go on to Liam Livingstone. I'd say 8 out of 10 is fair for him. He scored a good amount of runs, but obviously completely overshadowed by Josh Butler. But the real question is can he become more consistent and can he sustain that? Because I think I've sort of seen a drop off in him. He scored 60 off 33, which is very good for one innings. After that, a couple of low scores. Can he continue scoring runs? And that's something that Punjab Kings really need. And we've talked about their batting fragility. And if he can obviously swing the bat and score quickly, but also stay in the entire innings, and then he'll be the perfect batsman if he can do that. And he can sort of elevate himself to a whole nother level. What is your rating for him, Zaid?
Yeah, I'm going with 9.5 out of 10 because I just think I think he's settled in nicely after a bit of a dodgy start. I just think he's doing his role like perfectly. Sometimes he comes in, he's got time and he just powers his way through to like a 50 or 60. Sometimes he's batting near the end and he hasn't got too much time. So he even does a couple of low scores that he's had, he's still looking like, for example, a 19 of 10, for example. Like something like that. He's getting a good strike rate in. And I just think he's doing his job exactly what his team wants of him. I just think he's doing really well, and I just think I'm giving him 9 out of 10. Sorry, 9.5. I just think he's settled in really nicely in IPL.
To be fair, considering the fact that he's been giving free reign to hit as hard as he can, but considering the predicament that Punjab Kings find him in terms of their batting lack of consistency and lack of solidity in their batting, do you think he should really be trying to aim for 19 or consistent game 19 of 10? Do you think that's really enough for a player of his standard, or do you think he should be really going for 50s off 30, 35, which is okay, and then build up like how Josh Butler's been doing?
That's kind of like, I don't think that's him, because if he wants to be like Josh Butler, he should open the batting, and like which is just not him. We might Liam Livingstone. He's not an opening batsman. I just don't think that's just not what he's there for. Like Punjab Kings, if they want to change up something, I don't think there's nothing wrong with Liam Livingstone, the player. There might be something wrong with the sort of like place he has in the team, but that's the team problem. They've got to sort that out. I just think as a player, he's doing a job, what he's there, what he's good at, what he's great at. He's doing that fine.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think yeah, that's a pretty good argument. I think it's just more of a team and captain and selectors issue, really. Now we're going to top three. Shreyas Iyer, he was bought by, I think it was KKR, bought him for 12.25 crores. So a lot of money now. We're starting to get into really high amounts. This is a significant amount of money. He's scored quite a few runs. Yeah, he's done some good innings. Not really up to standard that we see in international cricket. But captaincy-wise, sort of being as captain, losing 4 in a row, I think now, sort of going from the second in the table, now falling into mid-table. Do you think he's done good enough for his amount of money that they pay, that KKR paid for him?
The simple answer is no, I don't think so. Because he's done well with the bat, but nothing incredible. He's not done anything near Joss Butler, or he's not very good. But captaincy is questionable. At times, his captaincy hasn't been up to the mark. He's made some weird decisions which don't make sense. So I don't think that's enough. That's just too much money. I don't think he's performed that much, that well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's fair. What was your rating for Shreyas Iyer?
Yeah, I gave him a 7 because, as I said, he's done well.
Yeah, that's fair. The second is Deepak Chahar. We can't really give him a rating. I've given him not really no rating whatsoever, just because he's been a back injury ruled him out of IPL 2022. However, he's not on a 1-year contract. No one really is, but because he was bought this auction, he's on a contract for more than a year. So next season we'll see him, and I think he could be sort of the key to CSK. Because he was bought by CSK. I forgot to mention that 14 crore. I think he sort of be the key to CSK's performances next season. Sort of freshening up their bowling attack, just giving them something more. And they paid a lot of money for him because he's a very talented bowler, and he's normally opens. So I think we'll see a lot from him next season. How do you feel about Deepak Chahar for next season, Zaid?
Yeah, I think he's a very good bowler. Obviously, it's unfortunate that Chennai can't have him this year. But he's a great bowler, and I just think he will come back next year or the year after. He will come back strong, right? He's just been injured this year. It happens, all fast bowlers go through an injury period, but I just think he's a wonderful bowler. I'd love it, and I just think he'll come back with a bang next year.
Yeah, so finally, I think we'll talk about Ishan Kishan, who was the most expensive player for the mega auction IPL 2022, 15.25 crore, which is a huge amount of money. Honestly, I put a 7.5 out of 10, but now I'm thinking about it, I think more 6.5 out of 10 is realistic, just because, yeah, he's been the top scorer. No, he's not even the top scorer anymore. He was a top scorer for Mumbai Indians, but now I think it's Tilak Sharma, who's just been, a sort of newly found player, scored nearly 250 runs now. Ishan Kishan, he's sort of the type of guy, and when he stops scoring or starts scoring slower or just doesn't score it, he just sort of he becomes more rash, and he just gets out really quickly. His strike rate in the first 2 IPL matches where he scored nearly 140 runs was something like 150, and then after that his strike rate's been lower than 100. It's just been shocking. He's not scored. There's not actually been a single innings in the last 6 or something, or 5, where he's scored above 100 strike rate, and that's horrible for an opener. Mumbai Indians is still keeping faith in him just purely because they don't have any other better talent in the bag. So they don't have anyone else to replace him with. And I think his performance has just been there's no point scoring in the first 2 games of the season because they lost those 2 games. When they really need him, he's not scoring. So and it's just been a complete complete collapse by the Mumbai Indians team, and Ishan Kishan is part of it. So 6.5 out of 10, I think it's just good enough for him. I don't think he deserves much. In terms of performances, is not much better, but he is a very good batsman still. You can't take away his talent. He's one of India's future stars, 100%. How about you? What do you think about Ishan Kishan, Zaid?
Yeah, I've gone with a 7. I think that's just too much money for him, really. He's such a young player. You pay that much money, he must have a little bit of pressure, really. You've been paid that much money, and difficult as he's such a young age. So I think he's been slightly inconsistent, but as you said, there's no other batsman to really go by. So I'll give him a 7 out of 10. He looked decent, but still young.
Yeah, I agree that, there is always just a pressure. He's really he's a young player. He's not a bad player either. Everyone knows how good he is. But when Mumbai are struggling this much, you need someone to shine up. If the captain can't do it, but he's been on bad form. Rohit Sharma's been on bad form for like nearly 2 years now. Ishan Kishan hasn't, and he's a young talent, and he's got more, types of. He's more versatile, I think. So we hopefully we can see a change from him. But 8 out of 8 losses. Ishan Kishan hasn't really contributed that much. Tilak Sharma's probably been their best player this season. Overall, and Ishan Kishan needs to start performing, but nevertheless there is still hope. He's 100% in the bag for playing for in being a future opener for India once people like Rohit Sharma retire, Virat Kohli retire possibly in the next couple of years. Those type he's 100% in the mix for Ishan Kishan, maybe as an opener or number 4 possibly is where I see him. Anyway, that's it from our episode today. If you did like the part where we rated the top 10 most expensive signings, please comment who you think is the best player out of those top 10. Who you think's had the largest impact on their team's season and their team's performances. Anyway, thank you, Zaid. That's the end of this episode, and we'll see you in the next one.